Hi, everyone. Ed Bixby here from the Global Green Burial Alliance, and this is Spotlight Now. Today, I am here with Wayne Hatcher. He was born in the rugged beauty of Gros Morne, Newfoundland. Wayne has always been deeply connected to the land. In 1973, Wayne moved to Nova Scotia, where he built a life centered on family and hard work. By age 27, he established himself as a successful employed building contractor, earning a craftsmanship that would eventually lead to a much larger calling. In 1995, Wayne founded Sunrise Park Interfaith Cemetery in Hatchet Lake, Halifax. Over the last 3 decades, his mission has evolved alongside the commitment of the community. In 2020, Wayne proudly established Sunrise Park as the first green burial provider east of Ontario by merging traditional values with modern environmental stewardship. Wayne provides families with a meaningful way to honor their loved ones while protecting the natural beauty of Nova Scotia. So, welcome, Wayne and Andrii.
So glad to be here this morning, and thank you again for taking this time with us. We are so proud and so happy to share some information with you. So proud that we started. I started Sunrise Park Cemetery, keeping in mind my wife Juanita, that's not here with me this morning, and she's by my side all the time regarding this. And when it comes to Sunrise Park Cemetery, we are also very, very proud that we have started the first footprint this side of Ontario for green burial.
Absolutely, Wayne. And I'll tell you, it's a beautiful, beautiful countryside place, part of the world. If no one, if some of our viewers have not been there, they certainly should, go in the summer months, of course, but go and visit and enjoy and visit with you. So let's learn a little bit about the history of Sunrise Park and how it came to be.
Well, yes, I'm going to have to go back more or less just when I was a young kid. When I was just a young man, I'm going to say that I used to be a little different maybe than some of the other kids because I used to really love going and visiting the seniors and spending time with them. But when I reached the age of about 16 years of age, that's when I lost my brother, and that's when really things changed in my life. Then at that particular time, I wanted to become a minister. You know what? But becoming a minister, I certainly didn't think I was a good enough person, so I didn't go in that direction. And so anyway, I continued to go to church, and with that, with going to church with my family, and became an usher, and became involved, and became a deacon, and so on. But during that time, I think that's when the biggest impact took place. At that time, I took much time then visiting people. I visit people in the nursing homes, and also in the hospital. I also visit people, even here in my own community. But then as I got older as well, that's again when things started to change because I noticed that there were family members. And with those family members, they had many decisions to take place, and that is, I noticed their burials became very, very expensive. So from there, I just had to shake my head many times at different situations. So I told myself, I got to try maybe and do something just to reach out there and just help some of those people. So I did some investigation on what's going to take place with the cemeteries. Because not just the cemetery expense, but also with the burial expense. And some of those people just had to shake their head and see the expenses that they were paying because they're in such grieving. Anyway, I ended up purchasing a piece of cemetery property next to my home. And then with that, between my lawyer and the city of Halifax, we finally, going through lots of paperwork, lots of investigation, lots of rules, lots of regulations. In 1995, I finally got the stamp that the cemetery for Sunrise Park Interfaith was established. And from there, I truly believe that I reached out to help many people in our community.
Well, and that's a beautiful story, Wayne. I mean, I'll tell you, what's really interesting about what you've said is, and I say it just about every interview, it's amazing how most of us have arrived to where we're at. It's not a decision that initially was something that when we were children that, hey, we want to own a cemetery. But you found your calling by helping people, in their time of, need, and in particular, a very difficult time of need. So, we commend you for that. And, obviously, as I had mentioned to our viewers, Nova Scotia is a beautiful place. Could you paint a picture of the property and what it looks like?
Yeah, they tell us that Sunrise Park Interfaith Green Burial here in Halifax is a little secret of Halifax. And even though I'll just try and picture this picture for you as you're this Hatchet Lake here. Hatchet Lake is all part of Halifax, Nova Scotia. And as you enter our cemetery, you're going to see two large granite signs, one on each side. You're going to see a large 4x8 sign. But then as you're driving up the road towards the parking lot, there's all kinds of different trees on both sides, and it's so gorgeous even in the wintertime. So it's all surrounded with trees. A little further, you will see the large columbarium. And all in that section, you will see all upright monuments. And there in the section of upright monuments, you have a choice. You can have 4 cremations, or you can have 1 green burial and 3 cremations. So as we continue to drive up to the cemetery, keeping in mind you have all on the left-hand side, you have trees on the back, you have all trees on the right-hand side, trees, and then a beautiful view looking back over. And so with all that looking back over up the whole cemetery, you're going to also come to the down back further, you're going to come to the green burial section. Keeping in mind all the first section, you got the flat markers, you got the trees, and you got all the upright monuments, and then you also the big columbarium. But then when you come to the very, very back, we have a place called the Green Burial Hybrid. Green Burial Hybrid is strictly for green burial, which is with no metals, everything 100% environmentally friendly. But we have 2 10-ton boulders, and with those 2 10-ton boulders, as you're going to enter the cemetery, in the summertime, they're all covered beautifully with all kinds of flowers and different kinds of plants. But there are times, too, when you'll also see people there visiting the cemetery. And there have been times just a little while ago, Andrew was there doing a green burial, and he says, "Hey, Wayne, look," he says, here's a deer walking out just a few feet away from us," which is pretty awesome. You'll also see the rabbits, and we got bird houses there up on the trees, which is pretty awesome. And one of my favorite is when you see the mother fox coming out with her pups. That is always so lovely. But there's only ever once that I saw a bear, which was okay, you know. And then we also see people there. They'll come and they'll sit on the natural wooden bench and they'll pray. Or again, early in the morning. One of my favorites is early in the morning because there's just so many birds singing, and I also enjoy going up there too and just putting the bird feed down just for that, because even the partridge love to come out and feed off the bird feed. But in that particular section of that cemetery for the green burial part, is something that's very, very special because we have trees in that planted. And at my arm here is a tree. Sometimes a person will pick a choice to be buried with the tree right here at the foot against the tree. Other people will have a head towards the tree, which is pretty awesome. And we also have another section there too in the green burial section, which is a large section for the monarchs. And we look forward to see the monarchs every year. And a couple of years ago, we take whenever we see the eggs, we'll take those within. And a couple of years ago, we released over 50 monarchs. So that's just a little picture there, giving you an idea of the green burial section. And also there too, you can look over, you can see one lake. Then you look on the other side as you're driving up behind, you got Hatchet Lake. And up there, many people will come up there and they'll walk their dogs too, and they'll walk back to the river. Which is pretty awesome. Not just walking back to the river, but also walking back down to the lake there as well.
Well, it sounds absolutely beautiful. I mean, obviously, and you had touched on something, the hybrid model, the traditional cemetery that creates a space. They're critically important, and they're a big part of our community because we do want to always honor people's options and their ability for choice. So it sounds to me like you've done a wonderful job. And you've created a community green space. I think that's most important to know that for our viewers that, these are designed, cemeteries are designed for the living, the final resting place for someone in the way they live their life, but it's the living who come to visit. So it sounds like you've done a beautiful job. And I mean, when you were going through this entire process, was there anything that inspired you, saying to yourself, geez, I really would like to offer some green burial options, or was it a personal interest or an experience, or was it a community need?
I got to smile at that one because I should have started it 25 years ago. But the reason why I didn't start it 25 years ago was because I didn't believe. In life, you've got to believe. Even if you're sick, you've got to believe that you're going to be healed. So with green burial, this particular day, my mind was changing. I was with the Nova Scotia Green Burial of Nova Scotia. But this wonderful lady came to me, which was part of the Green Burial of Nova Scotia. And she says, Wayne, you know, you have such a beautiful spot here. She actually came to the cemetery, a beautiful spot here. She said, you got to open up a hybrid green burial section. I wasn't convinced, but after some time I was convinced because I then believed that I am going to go green burial. I'm just going to be wrapped in a sheet, one of my favorite bid sheets. I'm going to be placed on a board and I'll be lowered in. But I told my wife this, honey, don't waste the time. Just put me on the edge of the grave, just the way that I am. And that way, just the way that I am, just looking at the sky, that's the way I like to go. Again, I have all the rules and regulations for that too. I'll just mention this part to you. What really also helped me to change things was this. To make me believe by going 100% environmentally friendly, and by saying that, I'm down to a skeleton within 2 years. There was no embalming with me. And I'm going to, it's just so broad there, so I'll just bring it just a little bit together. I mentioned that I had to believe first, which I did, but when that really emotional impact hit me at that particular time, I said, yes, I'm going to do this. I am going to open up a green burial society. I'm going to open up this green burial space. So what I had to do then, I had to go ahead through the Green Burial of Canada. And first of all, I also got the approval through them and the seal to be, again, the first green burial this side of Ontario. And with that, I have friends, people that will come now. They will just want to be come the way that they are, just on a piece of board, looking at the sky. My wife did the first green burial in a case like that. Second of all, a person would love to come and just be put into a cardboard box. Cardboard box only costs $150. Same type of cardboard box they use for they put people in for cremation, and other people just like to come into a little wooden box. So those are some of the things, but then it becomes stronger than that. It becomes stronger than that, and that is with the influx of people that was talking to me as well outside of the Green Burial Society after I started to believe. Then that's when the seal went down. I was 100% convinced and on my way.
And you know what?
There, but it gives you an overall.
No, absolutely. And what's beautiful about that is, again, is that, you know, it was something that came to you. You know, all good things come to those who wait. And, you know, being in the industry prior to actually offering the services gave you a different perspective. So, you know, I tell people all the time, if it's something that you're not offering, you're doing yourself a disservice, because the way it makes you feel emotionally when you provide these services to families really is the reward that you receive. So it sounds to me like it's the same experience for you. So that's a wonderful thing, and it helps you provide excellent service, I'm sure, you know, because you do care so much about it. And now that you've created this space, have you seen increased interest from your families for the eco-friendly funeral options? And if so, you know, what are the main reasons that they're drawn to the green burial services, you know, in your experience?
Well, I had to come back to where it's 100% environmentally friendly. Again, like I mentioned, that people now can be just wrapped in the shroud, which is pretty awesome. When I say wrapped in the shroud, that could be their favorite bid sheet. I buried somebody a little while ago, and with a green burial, and they had an original sheet from when they got married. So the lady was covered with that. Again, I also mentioned the cardboard box to you. I also mentioned the no embalming, but there's no concrete, and there's no plastic vaults. There's no expensive caskets, and everything becomes just so natural there. So when everything is just so natural, then that is a part that is drawing people. But this is the one, folks, you really need to listen to. It gives me cold shivers, because when my wife did the first burial, the lady went to vital statistics. She went to vital statistics with a death certificate. And with that vital statistics, gave the lady a burial certificate. The lady kept her husband at home for 2 days. People came in to say hello and goodbye. She brought her husband on a piece of board, dressed much like I am, looking at the sky, and with that, had the interment at Sunrise Park Cemetery, but no funeral home involved. Her only expense was at the cemetery property only. So people now are certainly doing that by going to vital statistics and getting that particular information by getting that burial certificate. And when friends and family are able to do that and save that kind of money, we say wow. And that is a big thing why people are also coming here. But outside of that too, they're also coming because it's less expensive. And when I say less expensive, they're able to have the grave site and everything all open. And I'm able to have them wrapped in a shroud, brought to the cemetery with all the paperwork done for $1,000 plus tax.
Wow.
Outside the cemetery cost.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, and I tell people all the time that, people have lost touch with their ability to care for their loved ones in death, but it's in our DNA. We've been doing it since the dawn of time. And when you unlock that ability, brings you closer to death in a way that you're less fearful of it because it's a new beginning. You're going somewhere, it's a new chapter. So I can appreciate all the things that you've said. And I would have to say, knowing how beautiful Nova Scotia is, like, how do you feel green burials align with the Nova Scotian lifestyle? I mean, it's a place of immense natural beauty. So is it just a natural fit?
Well, it's just not the natural beauty. Nova Scotia people are pretty awesome, and they really care about the environment. There is no question on that. They're also a very unique people. I guess they come almost hand in hand to Newfoundlanders. Newfoundlanders are just a little ways away, and in between, then we have the Cape Bretoners, so they better be nice as such. So they do think about things as being very clean as well. But the thing is, though, we have given them the second option, as I mentioned in the past. One time, they only had one option. What was the only option they had? The only option they had was a funeral home. And with a funeral home, what was it? It was cremation, and it was full burial. And so with that, most people were taught and they believed that if you're going to go full burial, you had to be embalmed. So with the Nova Scotia people, we're educating them and we're changing their mind in that particular area that you don't need to be embalmed. So I think they see us this way, and that is as a people that I mentioned the word educating the people, where I think we're educating them when it comes to all of our radio ads and our signage and our newspaper ads and all the phone calls that we are getting from them and all the information that we're sending out to them. And I think too, as I mentioned before, and that is by changing the mind to be able to be buried into a cemetery and planted by and interred by a tree, or just have a small natural stone instead of a big upright marker, or just be in an area where it's all totally grass, then I think our Nova Scotia people are saying, hey, yes, they're not just thinking, they're saying, yes, I really want to go this way. But the good news is I'm finding that more of the older people in Nova Scotia are very environmentally friendly. And because of that, we're going to see more of our young people too, as they're going through life, saying, "Hey, we want to be more environmentally friendly," and that's my belief anyway. When it comes to the Nova Scotia people, how there's some changes that are taking place.
Well, and that's most certainly understandable. I mean, when you're used to certain things, you get complacent sometimes in life when you think that's just the way it needs to be. So it takes a little bit of time, but it sounds to me like things are moving along really well. And Andrii, I see you're sitting here next to Wayne, and he's obviously a very passionate man who's very proud of all the work that he's done there at Sunrise Park Interfaith Cemetery. How do you feel about the work that's being done there, and and the impact that it's having on the community.
Okay, so I'm presently only several months is working with Wayne, mostly as his assistant. But what I already was able to see in this few months is working for the Sunrise Park Cemetery is that it's a really great increase, because one of my jobs, which I'm helping Wayne to do, is to make all his paperwork and all the arrangements more computerized, more digitalized, because many people here still prefer to do it old-fashioned way, all on the papers, which is great, which keeps everything very safe, all information. However, in some cases, you need to have more access, faster and more easy if you want to be expanding the businesses and everything. So, but what I want to say that I'm going through all the data since 1995, and I see the significant, very huge increase in green burials in last maybe 3 or 4 years. Like earlier than this, as you know, we started green burials in 2020. First 2-3 years, there was only just few burials per year. In like 23, 25, it's more than half of all burials per year is the green burial. So society definitely impacted by this new trend. Many people are just coming just because they are learning us from other, we know some of our friends already here have the property at the green burial. We also want to be green, and especially it's just as Wayne said, it's in elder society, elder people, they all very eco-friendly. That's probably also the answer for one of the previous questions about the Nova Scotian communities. So I mean, the elder people, they do care about the ecology of their province. They understand how it's important for them and for future generations, and they come and they search, they look for the information, they ask a lot of questions about what is it, green burial, how it's aligned with ecology, how it helps. And as soon as we give all the explanation, then they say, oh yes, that's what we really need, that's how we want to be. So that's my piece of story.
No, and that's good to know, because and you're right, partly, and I can speak to this a little bit. Most cemeteries have been around for a very long time. Wayne's is not, in the scheme of things, not very old, really. 1995 is not that old. But we are a little old-fashioned in our ways, and it takes a little bit of time before we change. So I'm a paper kind of guy as well, but I've been going computerized in the last couple of years. And you do what you do the way you know how to do it. But kudos to you to helping Wayne, and I'm glad that you're able to be part of that. And this brings me to my favorite part of one of my favorite parts is to ask about what would be one of your most memorable or impactful funeral services? Maybe it was the one you had mentioned earlier. Is there something that really sticks out in your mind, Wayne?
That gives me shivers, buddy. That gives me good shivers, joyful shivers. There are just so many good stories. Wow, what a question. That's such a big impact question. I'm going to mention this before I really answer your question. With the green burials, this green burials is also taking away from the cremation. We, Sunrise Park Cemetery, have reached out and helped many people, many times not even seeing a penny for it. We now have experienced that, I'll just jump into cremation for a second, when we encourage people that when they get cremated, if they give me a phone call, I can have your cremation done for $1,500 plus tax. But then you just take your cremation remains, you bring your cremation remains to the cemetery, the family would do that. And they had their celebration right at the cemetery, even with cremation remains. That way you don't have to have all of this extra expense out there. So people are now doing it. The second of all, this is very important for all you people out there. I'm just going to give you one example. I can give you many. I got a call a little while ago. an individual wanted to have a green burial. They wanted to have a green burial, but they wanted to have a casket each. So with that, green burial, we only have natural. They made a phone call. It was $18,733 for 2 people, no embalming, no visitation. Just take me, put me in the casket, and bring me to Sunrise Park Cemetery. My wife heard the conversation on speaker on the phone. She says, Wayne, you got to go and see them right away. I went to see them right away. Within 2 hours, I saved them $9,000 for those 2 eco-friendly caskets, and for all the and for their services like that. I brought it down to $8,000 plus tax. That is one scenario and saving money. So people, give us a call in a case like that. We can help you out in many different ways. But I'm going to come back to your question. Some of the biggest impacts was this. I got a call this particular day from this lady, and she was a Jewish lady, and she said, "I want to meet with you." And so I went to meet with her, and I shared with her about green burial. And one of her big impact was this. I am not going to spend $20,000 like most Jewish people spend. I'm going to go green burial, even though her society doesn't want that to take place. But she said, I'm going to do it. So I'm going to say Maya was the first footprint in maybe all of the province that went green burial, wrapped in a shroud, on a piece of board, and to have that service done, just a funeral service done in a case like that, $1,000 plus tax instead of $20,000. But I can still hear the gentleman that was doing the speaking 3 or 4 times say, we have to respect her wishes because we are not used to this. And the people weren't used to this. This is the first time they ever saw one of the members will say on a piece of board, just wrapped in a shroud. She was the first example. And since then, we have opened up a Jewish portion of the cemetery at Sunrise Park Cemetery here in Hatchet Lake, Nova Scotia.
In green burials.
In the green burial section.
Yeah.
We also offer them to another section if they want to have the upright monuments, but the green burial section we have already opened up. I got to share another one with you. The second one would be, here's a mom who lost her husband, has 2 daughters. And it gives me cool shivers right now. You saw my body is goosebumps, but good goosebumps. When they had the service, one of the daughters was singing, and I said, you must be recording that. She says, no, afterwards, that's my real voice. And with that, they waltzed, and they danced, and they sang, and they had a real happy celebration in this green burial section, because the green burial celebrations are, with the traditional is so much different than the burials over there. And the other part, when it comes to the upright monuments, all those expensive caskets and all that pollution that goes in the ground with the concrete vaults and the plastic vaults and thousands of dollars for caskets over there. If you had the experience with the green burial, is more open up where people also come in. I've seen it with a pack sack, take out the bottle of liquor, and the guy wasn't drinking, and have some drinks together or smoke some marijuana together, have all the pictures and everything all up, and have the music going and tell the stories. And also with the green burial section, I want to mention this part to you as well. I know this is a little off now about those couple of stories, but I can tell you all kinds of wonderful, beautiful stories about the green burial section, and the high height of celebration. But I cannot tell you any rejoiceful stories regarding the conventional part of the cemetery where people come in with their big caskets and stuff like that. There's something really different about the green. And with the green burial section, it's so nice when the person is on the board and people put flowers all over the person. The person is just put down in the grave 3 foot 8 inches down on a nice bit of hay, or even on the spruce tree boughs that we put down within the grave. And when the person is lying there, we had the family then put the hay over the person, or the green spruce boughs over the person before the individual is covered in. So with the green burial, all beautiful stories. I'm going to say every story in the green burial is so uplifting and just so enriching. And when people experience the green burial celebration, they say, I want to go this way too. Matter of fact, I just had a lady that was buried there last year. and she would preach to 1.5 million people in India. And so with the celebration that they had there at Sunrise Park Cemetery, it was just so beautiful and so awesome. We have doctors coming in, psychologists coming in, we have street people coming in. We have a whole different walk of life of people that come in. And on the graves again, the graves in the summertime, they are all covered with, some of the graves are all totally covered with flowers. We have also seen green pepper growing on the green burial graves, because people can also even grow their vegetables there if they want to. Or they can have just all grass, or just a little marker with their name on it, or just a tree as a celebration of life. So yeah, the green burial, I just praise it up and down all the way across the board.
Well, and that's beautiful, Wayne, and I can see your enthusiasm and your passion in it, and I can tell that you definitely believe in what you do, and it feels like that that the cemetery itself is taking a different direction, a new meaning, really, for the community and everyone else involved. So, kudos to you. It's wonderful that you're working with the Green Burial Society of Canada, a great organization. That's the key to all of this, is connecting the dots, getting people into the conversation and creating a buzz around what we do, So we really appreciate the fact that you've joined us today, Wayne and Andrii. Visitors can learn more by visiting sunrisepark.life. Wayne, do you have any parting words for the audience?
Yes, I'll give Andrew the choice there first. Anything you'd like to say to the audience? First of all, I want to thank Andrew for being by my side. I'm so happy that he's with me. Again, my wife wasn't able to be with us this morning, but I'm so glad that my wife, Juanita, is strictly by my side all the time. She holds my hand all the time with everything. So I'm so thankful.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm of course also very grateful for Wayne. He's a wonderful person as a man, and just very. When I was just joining him, like not every day you receive the offer to work for the cemetery, but with the help of Wayne, with his passion, you really understand the meaningfulness of these kind of jobs. You really understand how people are, and what he just said about all these green burial stories. You're really looking on the cemetery with totally different eyes. And as I say, these days the green burial are much more than the traditional, and so you much more often see like. Okay, you much more often see the happy people at the cemetery, not just grieving. So the cemetery, which has a green burial, is becoming really more like the life celebration place, not just the place for the grieving. Even with the grieving, the green burials, they look different. They grieve different. They, as Wayne said, the people coming even for the visitation long after the funeral took place. They're coming. They also sing in songs. They just sit and drink. More look like the picnics than the place for the grief, for the sorrow. So, and that's probably how it should be. It's a natural way. I mean, that's what I like about this place, about this job, and I really would appreciate if more people will be coming into this way of understanding the cemetery.
Absolutely. Well, wonderful parting words, gentlemen. We really appreciate it. Thanks. Oh, go ahead, Wayne.
Yes. I want to say that if anybody ever want to call me direct, they can do that too with 902-880-4944. That's 902-880-4944. Love to have a conversation with anyone regarding green burial or any other type of burial. And whenever you have the opportunity to come to 2025 Prospect Road here in Hatchet Lake, which is only still in the area of Halifax, come up here sometime, even with your telescope, and look at the stars. There's a nice dark area. Even up there with this beautiful moon the last 3 or 4 days, going up in the dark area at night is awesome. And to go up there even with your dogs and take a walk back to the river and back to the lake, and just even go up there and on a blanket like many people do in the summertime and just read, and even in the evening and just look and gaze at the stars. And I just want to thank you today for taking this time with us. what we are doing here at Sunrise Park Cemetery is not a business. We don't look at folks as a business. We look at more as a service, and I get that from Mr. Josie many years ago as he sat at the table. And I remember him looking at me, and he says, "Wayne, you are different than the others." I said, "Why am I different than the others, Mr. Josie?" He says, "The others are about business, but Wayne," he says, "you're about service." So when people come to us that's really in need, we're also there to help them. We're also there to help them, to give them all of the details, every detail that they need to know. If they want to help us to follow them all the way through, we're willing to do that. So folks, look at us as a family that will sit here with you and hold your hand with you if need be. And just want to thank you for everything today.
No, you're absolutely welcome, Wayne and Andrii, and people, take Wayne up on his offer because, I'm sure he's a wealth of information, and I'm sure the visit would be lovely. So this is Spotlight Now, Global Green Burial Alliance, and it's been a pleasure, gentlemen.
My pleasure, Angie's pleasure. And from Halifax, here in 2025 Prospect Road, Hatchet Lake, Nova Scotia, Andrii and Wayne, blessings to every one of you. And thank you for being with us.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All
Till
the
the
best.
next time, folks.
All the best. Thank you again.